Guys, today we're going to talk about the commutative and associative properties. And the I can statement we're working on is I can use the properties to evaluate expressions mentally. Now, that's the whole point of using properties. It's to help you do math quickly in your head. And the way we're going to do that is by making tens. So let's begin. Let's start with the commutative property. So the commutative property, just to review, says that you can add numbers in any order you want. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. And no matter what order I add 1, 2, and 3, I'm always going to get 6 because the commutative property allows us to move numbers around or commute. Like when you're driving to school, that's called your morning commute because you are moving from one place to the other. Numbers can move from one place to another when you're adding, and it does not change your sum. The commutative property is really helpful if you're trying to add large lists of numbers. What you're going to want to do is notice all the ways that you can make 10. So instead of adding 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way down, I can rearrange these numbers to put 1 and 9 together because that makes 10. So does 2 and 8. 3 and 7 make 10. 4 and 6 make 10. So right now I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, plus this other 5, 45. I've added that very quickly just by rearranging the numbers to make 10. The commutative property also works when you are multiplying. So no matter which way I multiply 2, 3, and 4, I'm still going to get 24. And again, when I use the commutative property, I'm going to want to rearrange numbers to make multiples of 10. So, for example, it's going to be difficult to do 4 times 8, which is 32, then multiply that by 25, then multiply it by 5. So I'm going to rearrange those numbers to make it in a way that I can multiply easily. For example, I know 4 times 25 is 100, and 8 times 5 is 40. Now, all I really need to know how to multiply is 1 times 4, which is 4. And I see there are 1, 2, 3 zeros in my problem. So 1, 2, 3 zeros in my product. Get 4. Okay, now it's your turn. On the next slide, you're going to have a couple of problems. I want you to pause the video and do these problems in the work section of your WSQ. Okay, let's work. Now here's how I arranged it. It can be arranged differently. There is no wrong way to rearrange them. But if you'll notice, when I did, I arranged it to make groups of 10 so that when I go to add them, it'll be easier to do. Or multiples of 10. So for example, 2 times 50 is 100, times 7 is 700. That's going to be very easy for me to multiply in my head. So making those multiples of 10 that'll make it easier for me to add later on is the best way to do this, to help me do my math mentally. Oops, hold on one second. Sorry about that. Let's talk about the associative property now. So the associative property allows me to group numbers together in any way in order to, when I'm doing an addition problem. So for example, here I have in parentheses 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Now because I have all addition, and I know the commutative property lets me add numbers in any order, the associative property says when you have all addition, you can group them in different ways too, which doesn't that really just change the order that I'm going to add? But again, we'll talk later on about how that will help us to do mental math. So look at these different ways I can group. No matter how I do it, I always make 10. Note, I don't have to just keep 2 grouped together. I can group 3 together if I wanted to. The same rules apply for multiplication. I can group numbers in any way if it's all multiplication or all addition, okay? And I can group more than 2 numbers together if I need to. All right, so let's give it a shot. Pause the video and rewrite each of these expressions using the associative property. All right, let's see how you did. Again, notice here, when I grouped 12 and 11 together, I would have to work out that multiplication, but it's going to be very easy to multiply it by 10 when I'm done because I put a 0 at the end. Here, it made more sense to group 12 and 8 together because that makes 20, and 20 is easy to add to 15. Same thing here. 25 and 5 is 30, which is going to be an easy number to add to 14 because that'll be 44. And then 11, 55. So those, I'm making it easier to add in my head and multiply in my head. Now, we will talk later this year about using variables. So in this case, it didn't really make it easier to add or multiply because I don't know what those values are. But it does go back and help me to, it'll help me later on when I'm doing, working with algebraic expressions. So, all right, we are done with this video. You can go back and watch any part of this video as many times as you need to, or you can watch the whole thing, but don't forget to WSQ in your notes.